I hope that everything's going to be fine. Let me give you... Okay. All right, Femi, can you just say yes, because just to confirm that you can see my slides?
Yes, we can see your slide, please.
Very good. Good morning, everyone. So I'm very glad to be here. Just like Femi said, I'm one of those that very much believes in the power and the future of Africa. And I'm honored that Femi chose me to do this kickoff session. I'm going to be speaking to you about global freelancing markets, Africa as a hub of promising talents. Of course, me sitting in Switzerland, I'm going to give you an external view on what is happening on the continent, and in particular, a viewpoint that comes from Europe. And I hope that some of the insights that I am going to transfer to you will give you some value add in the way that you will proceed from now on. Now, in brief, I am Muge Coteli. I hold a double master's degree in international corporate and commercial law. I just graduated from an international executive MBA. I have 7 years of experience in creating and selling digital solutions, in particular in the reinsurance and insurance industry. I am a board member at 2 organizations, one being the European Tech Chamber, the other one being Gen Switzerland, so the Global Entrepreneurship Network sitting in Switzerland. I'm a regular jury member in global startup competitions, including the Global Startup Awards Africa that is running right now. So if you're interested, go check. I started recently mentoring startups as well, in particular one that I'm accompanying in the development of the product up until the go-to-market strategy. And I'm a frequent public speaker at international conferences, mostly on topics related to innovation, technology, and business, which is the reason why I'm here today. Now, I would like to start with providing you a viewpoint for the gig economy looked at from the external point of view and on a global scale. So how does the labor market look like today, and where is it directed? Where do people go to? What are the interests like? And what you see here is that the gig economy is attracting more and more people, in particular the youth. And I'm going to give you some numbers on that. So you have 68% of individuals that would like to earn at least an additional income via the gig economy, at least an additional income. We have 36% of individuals that are in working age that are already independent or self-employed. And we have 37% of the members of the gig economy that are young, that are between 21 and 38 years of age. And we'll see in a moment what this means for the African population in particular. Now, another trend that we observe in the global market, labor market, is that people are more and more inclined to make sure to achieve a win-win throughout the value chain that they are active in. What this means is they would like to achieve a societal and/or an environmental impact via what they're doing in terms of work. So we are shifting from utterly and solely profit making into, I want to make profit, but I also want to do good. Another trend that we observe in the labor market globally is that there is an increasing wish for an unconditional basic income. And there are several reasons for it, including poverty that was mentioned by Femi earlier, but not only. There's also the aspect that if you achieve to maintain an unconditional basic income for all, then people can focus their energies on educating themselves and focusing their work efforts on topics that they are particularly motivated in and that they very much want to push forward. All right, this is to give you a global overview of what's happening on the global level, on an international level. Let's move on and look into Africa in particular. So these will be probably for most of you repetitions in terms of metrics, but I'm going to provide them anyway because I think it provides a context in terms of a view on the continent Africa. We have almost 1.4 billion people living in Africa today. This is 16.7% of the total world population, which makes Africa rank number 2 of the regions of the world, so more or less the continents of the world, ordered by population. This is huge. And if we look at the average age of people living in Africa, it's 19.7 years. This is how young the population is on the continent. It's the youngest in the world. Just to give you a comparison, we have 46 and 47 years average in Germany and Japan, and 43 years average in Switzerland, where I live. So imagine the difference. Imagine the potential that is withheld within the population in the continent of Africa. Now we have 54 countries in Africa, up to 2,000 languages spoken in the continent, and we have almost half of the population that is urban, which makes it, on a side note, very important to develop products and services that reach out to the rural sides of the countries, different countries as well. Now, to get back to what I was mentioning earlier, we saw that on a global scale here, we had 37% of the members of the gig economy between 21 and 38 years of age. And you see that in Africa, with 19 years of average in terms of age, we have here the potential that will engage within the gig economy and will be able to blossom there and add value to the entire continent and more. Africa holds right now an increasing percentage of around 10% of the world's freelancers. So this is already 1 out of 10 people that are within that gig economy and that freelancers economy, and that will be able right now to add value to everyone. Moving on, we need to take into account certain opportunities stemming also from technological developments that we are experiencing worldwide. And this has been partly mentioned by Ehi, partly mentioned by Femi. It is important to note that 85% of workers in Africa today are still employed informally. This creates, of course, a tax loss for the governments and affects the ability or the option or the alternative of those governments to invest in education, health, and basic infrastructure. Which gets me back to also Femi's point that Femi stated earlier, that it's important to push the freelancers economy in terms of adding up to the possibilities of people to educate themselves in a different way and to add value in different ways and to earn income in different ways, focusing on what they're interested most in. Now, the growth of digital platforms on a global scale and the gig economy in Africa will offer undeniably opportunities to bridge this gap between informal work and formal employment. Adding to that, there is another development which is very interesting. The share of the African population with at least a secondary education was expected to increase from 36% in 2010 to 52% in 2030, which meant, or means still, that there is an increase of 15 to 20 million increasingly well-educated young people in the African workforce every year since 2010. Now, as a consequence, there is an utmost need to develop and deliver ecosystems for quality jobs and to develop future skills to match those jobs. Now, let us look more closely into it and check on how to turn your talent into your success. And I will provide you with some thoughts, some approaches, and will invite you to think about it together with me and also later after this speech. Now, first of all, I would like to ask you 3 questions that I find very important. If you think about it, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you think that you are prepared for the labor market of the future? The second question is, How well do you know your skills? And the third question is, how well are your networking skills? Now, note these questions down. We will look into further aspects in a moment, and we will get back to them a little later, and I will invite you to think about those also afterwards, after this morning. Now, in terms of future skills, I have melted them down to 5 core future skills here. They're also an amalgamation of findings and conclusions in research papers, in particular from the WEF and the ILO, and they are deemed, and also in my view, they are deemed to foster and enhance the employability of people on the market. And in particular, they're important for freelancers in terms of positioning themselves on the market. The first one is the enterprising mindset. What is that? Well, it's the intrinsic motivation to achieve success, not extrinsic, so not led by salary or by the potential to earn money, but much more the intrinsic motivation to do the business that you want to do in order to achieve your own success and achieve your own fulfillment. Because if you are fulfilled within yourself, you will be able to achieve sustainable success, which is ultimately what you want. Enterprising mindset also means the ability to take risks and to take initiatives. So that is closely related, of course. If you want to take initiative, you are also engaged to taking the risk of taking that initiative, since it's something new that others didn't do the way you do it in the same manner before you. And that's very important in terms of achieving your unique value proposition and positioning it on the market, which brings me also to the next step, the inner strength. We all need to self-reflect about what we can do and what we can't do. And we will get to it a little later again. We need to know where are our limits. What can we do with the resources that we have at hand? What can't we do? Where do we need to put a break? Where do we need to say no? And we need to have the self-confidence to say no or to say yes and engage with the enterprise that we engage with. The third point is ecosystem management. It is core to every success today and tomorrow to be able to network effectively. We need to be able to build communities of like-minded people or complementary skilled people in order to build common success with joint results. It is not possible today, with the complexity of the world we live in and the complexity of the businesses that we build, to succeed alone. We need to get together with others, complement the skill sets needed in order to achieve common and enhanced results. Fourthly, problem-solving skills. So this is an old one. We have heard of it. It's nothing new. But we need to look at it from a different angle. It's not only the ability to think analytically, but it's also the ability to recognize patterns in activities that we do and that others do, and trends that we observe. It's also the ability to build scenarios. And by that, I mean anticipate what is coming in the future and build already in the mind the solutions to address those anticipations that we analyze on the market, on a local and global scale. And finally, digital savviness. Ehi has mentioned it earlier. It's very important to take into account the technological developments that we see on the market today. In terms of digital savviness, it is in particular important to look into data analytics. Today, we are able to capture data that was around, but we couldn't capture earlier. It is possible to analyze that data, to filter, to search for that data, and get to conclusions in terms of that data. And finally, we need to be able to manage that data well in terms of achieving certain conclusions in the future on the basis of the data collected. So that's about the 5 future skills enabling to foster employability and to enhance your marketability as a freelancer. Now let us get to the concluding thoughts. Turning talent into success around Africa. How do we do this ultimately? Well, if you boil it down, it's about self-branding and self-marketing. How do we do that? There are 4 core aspects to it. First of all, by being unique. What does that mean? Well, we get back to what are our skills? What are our values? And where do we want to get? What are our aspirations, our ambitions? What do we wish for ourselves and for others today? The second part is being visible. We need to build that brand around our values, and we need to communicate it well and clearly on the market. For instance, via social media, but it can be also via sharing knowledge. To the degree that you know it and you can do it, mentor people, coach people, be there for others. They will help you back one day. And same goes for mentoring. Engage with mentoring, learn and give back to the mentors. Like Femi said earlier, he's still grateful today for the program he was able to attend, provided by the World Bank, supported by the World Bank. It is something very important, the ability to receive and the ability to give. It's something that has nothing to do with our pride or ego. It has something to do with seeing the value of getting together, joining forces, and achieving common results, joint results. Now, the next point is knowing what we can fix and what we cannot fix. This stems from the ability to prioritize and the ability to choose our battles. We need to know what problems we can solve alone, what problems we can solve in combination with complementary skills. And we need to be clear in terms of what we offer to the market, in particular in the freelancers community. We need to know what is it that we can offer alone to the market and what is it that we can offer jointly to the market. And finally, we need to be connected. We need to reach out, we need to connect, we need to join networks and manage those contacts. It's not only about building new ones, but it's also about managing the old ones. And now that we've been through these thoughts, I would like to invite you to take a second look at the 3 questions that we have been looking at in the beginning. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think now that you're prepared for the labor market of the future? How well do you know your skills? And how well are your networking skills? Take these questions with you, and I'm inviting you to push the boundaries of what you think you can do and engage into your future. The future is bright if you're willing to take that leap of faith. I would like to thank you very much, and thank you, Femi, for having given me this opportunity to talk to everyone. And I'm open to any question that might be asked on the chat.
Thank you.